In California, $500,000 might get you a 1,000 square foot condo with an HOA bill on top of your mortgage. In DFW, that same $500,000 buys you a 4-bedroom house with a yard, a 2-car garage, and a neighborhood with great schools. And most people who haven't made that comparison yet generally don't believe it until they see it side by side. I'm Miguel Escobedo, real estate agent covering the entire DFW metroplex. I help buyers relocate from high cost of living states all the time. And the conversation almost always starts the same way. What does my money actually do here? So today, I'm answering that directly with real numbers, real comparisons, and real data. Let's get into it. Let's start with the baseline. In DFW right now, $500,000 typically gets you somewhere between 2,000 to 3,500 square feet, depending on the neighborhood and whether it's new construction or resale, per current market data. That's a 4-bedroom, 2 to 3 bathroom, a 2-car garage, and a real backyard. Not a postage stamp, a real yard. Fort Worth and the west side of the metroplex offer 20 to 30% more home for the same price as Dallas, according to the current analysis. And new construction corridors like Haslett, Saginaw, Forney, and Midlothian builders are delivering 3 to 4 bedroom homes with 1,800 square feet to 2,500 square feet in the $350K to $500K range. The $400K to $500K range gets you into the step up tier, more finishes, more square feet, better locations. To put DFW's value into context, Realtor.com ranked DFW number 5 in the nation for how much square footage $1 million buys. 4,072 square feet on average versus a national average of 2,994. The whole market skews towards giving buyers more home for their money. The $400K to $500K range is right in that sweet spot. Now that we established what your money does here, we're about to compare it head to head with California, Colorado, and New York so you can see the full picture. But first, grab our DFW relocation guide. QR is on the screen, link is in the description. It has everything you need before you make the move. Let's keep going. California is where the conversation starts for most of my relocation clients because the contrast is the most dramatic. California's median home price is projected approximately at $900,400 in 2025 per the HomeIA.com analysis. In Los Angeles and San Francisco, average rents run above $2,500 per month for a 1-bedroom. A single family home in a livable LA neighborhood at $500K doesn't exist. And on top of that, California's cost of living index sits at 137.6 compared to 92.5 in Texas, meaning California is roughly 49% more expensive across the board. The tax picture is significant. A household earning $150,000 per year saves approximately $9,000 annually in state income tax alone by living in Texas instead of California, according to the current analysis from the U.S. State Data Hub. At $250,000 in income, that gap widens to $28,000 to $34,000 per year. That's a lot of money. Texas has no income tax. California's top marginal rate runs 13.3%. California's property taxes are lower, around 0.74 thanks to Proposition 13 compared to Texas' typical 1.6 to 2.5%. But when you factor in California's home cost $900,000 versus $400K in DFW, the mortgage burden alone swamps any property tax advantage. The math is not even close for most buyers. Colorado's growth over the last decade pushed prices significantly. Denver's metro median prices are now in the $500K to $600K range, and what you get for that in DFW is anywhere from $375 to $400K, sometimes less depending on the neighborhood. Colorado does carry a state income tax of 4.4%. People leaving Colorado for DFW are typically doing it for more space, low overall cost, and the job market. DFW added 46,800 non-farm jobs over the year through mid-2025, and the metro is home to 21 to 24 Fortune 500 headquarters. The economic pool here in the DFW is real and it's growing. And the New York Metro, the 5 boroughs, New Jersey suburbs, Long Island, 400 to 500 is barely an entry point for a family home. In New Jersey suburbs, where families actually settle, you're starting conversations around $500K to $700K for something that's reasonable. New York State income tax runs around 6 to 10%, depending on the income bracket. New York residents pay an additional city income tax on top of that. I work with buyers from New York area who sat in my office generally stunned at what's available in the DFW for their budget. Square footage, lot size, neighborhood quality. It's a different world here in Texas. DFW was the #1 destination in the US for movers in 2025, and buyers coming from New York are a meaningful part of that flow. Here's what most comparison videos miss. It's not just about the purchase price, it's the whole financial ecosystem. Texas has no state income tax. Property tax in DFW run 2 to 2.5% annually, which is real and needs to be budgeted. On a $450,000 home, that's $9,000 to $11,000 per year, roughly $750 to $900 per month in escrow. That's a trade-off you're making. No state income tax, higher property tax. For most buyers earning above $100,000, Texas still comes out substantially ahead when you run the full math, and that's before you factor in everyday life, groceries, gas, utilities, dining. It's also cheaper in Texas. Texas grocery cost index sits around 96.5 below the national average compared to California's 113.8. H-E-B, which is widely considered one of the best grocery chains in the country, has been aggressively expanding into the DFW. That day-to-day savings compounds every time. One thing being straightforward with you about, DFW is not 2019 prices. The market ran up hard during 2020 through 2022, and while things have cooled off and stabilized, you're not getting pandemic era deals. The still a home value index for DFW sits around 315K, but actual closing prices on what actively selling are running between 410 to 430. The gap between index prices and sell prices is something buyers coming from out of state need to understand. The good news, inventory is better than it was. Buyers have their own negotiation room now that they didn't have in 2021. DFW unemployment rate is 3.4% with a tight labor market and massive corporate presence. Goldman Sachs is building an 800,000 square footage campus in the Design District area. Wells Fargo opened a new urban campus adding 650 jobs. The fundamental demand for housing there is not going to go away. If you want a real look at what 400 to 500K buys you right now in a specific DFW neighborhood that makes sense for your situation, I put together relocation packages for buyers all the time, real comps, real neighborhoods, honest advice. Link will be in the description. Drop your questions in the comments and subscribe for more DFW content every single week. I'll see you on the next one.